I want to explain how pressure works by using a garden hose as an analogy. So imagine you have, you have pressure at your house in the faucet. That is like the push that pushes things, the water through the line, and the size of the line will determine how much water comes out the other end. And if you put a nozzle on the end, that will restrict the amount of flow. So it'll either focus it into a very narrow point where you can do some specific work like hosing off your driveway, or you make a fine mist like when you want to water your plants without tearing them up, tearing all the earth up. So the same principle applies in our lives. It's the same thing about the reserve, the reservoir, the head, all that gives us the push and the flow through our lives. So now what happens when a person has an open head in human design, where the triangle at the top is white, and then if they have an open square at the bottom, which was the root center, they will feel a lot of pressure. There's lots of ideas coming in, and there's lots of pressure that these things need to be done. So what happens is the to-do list keeps growing, and as you take one off, another one comes on. So the to-do list is very sustainable. It's always growing. It's always flowing. But what happens, where the trouble comes in, is when you have a person that has the next square up is clear, which is the sacral square. That means they don't have sustainable energy. So they're not able to take this huge to-do list and flow with it without restriction, to the end, to completion. And so they go like the water lines that get air in it, and it'll go in a spurt, and then it'll gasp for air, and then it'll go in a spurt, and it'll gasp for air. And that's what the people with the open sacrals, that's how they do a lot of things. They'll do things. They'll do 10 things on their to-do list, and they'll go and then they'll crash and burn, and they've got to get a gasp of new energy, and then they'll do a whole bunch more, and then they got to take a break. So it's not sustainable. So what happens is when there is some sort of a restriction, like on a garden hose, you put a nozzle on the end, and that restricts the flow. So when there's some sort of a restriction, maybe it's not enough time, not enough energy, not enough people, not enough money, or maybe people are trying to talk you out of doing whatever it is, or they're saying it can't be done, or there's legal obligation or restrictions and hurdles. I mean, all these things, they build pressure because the push is there. The to-do list now is huge, and the push is there to get things done. But if there's these restrictions, pretty soon there's a lot of pressure. And for some people, they get health problems, and some people have emotional blow-ups, and some people get chronic fatigue because they can't handle it. So I wanted to share this concept with you, just as a way of looking at your life and the pressure and the sources of the pressure that are in your life. So until next time, watch and observe and notice how pressure affects you.